Hey everyone, welcome to a random episode, I guess, of, well, nothing in particular. I was debating if I should do crypto scam on Bcash, but I didn't do enough preparation, so that wasn't gonna work. And, but I did wanna, review the debate a little bit. And this is kind of what I spent all day doing. Because it's the only chance I will get, because tomorrow I fly out to Bulgaria. There's another conference out there. Maybe I don't know, debate somebody from Ripple or, I don't know, BitConnect or God knows what else that is just as, insane. And this is like my only chance. I'm not fully prepared to review that debate, but it's better than nothing. So I'm gonna go ahead and do screen share. I spent like a few hours editing that 20-minute or 18-minute debate video down to approximately 10 minutes. I didn't cut out anything that was unnecessary. I just try to keep, like the main parts. And I did terrible. Look, I'll admit I did terrible, right? I did a little bit of a disservice to the Bitcoin community. But on the other hand, if Roger was able to convince people to buy into Bcash, and I was calling it Bitcoin Cash out of, respect for Roger. I still respect what Roger did for Bitcoin in the early days. I just think that at this point, anyone that's using Bcash, or especially holding on to Bcash for longer than the time of their transaction, is going to go broke. I mean, they're going to lose all their money. And I can't respect that. So I have to do what I can do. And of course, I didn't prepare for the debate. I have better things to do with my time. All right, so I made a couple of notes, definitely not as many as I should have. Have them on Notepad on a second monitor. So let's just go ahead and get into it. I'm gonna go to screen share. Probably gonna botch this up too, but hey, we'll see. Oh crap, where's the screen share? Shit, all right, hold on. I made my Zoom link too small. All right. Screen share, I'm actually gonna do a full screen this time. I don't normally do that. You guys can make fun of all my tabs, which isn't even that many. You should see how many tabs I have open. This is why I have a $2,500 computer, because this is how many tabs I have open. There you go. All right. I don't think anyone's gonna be joining me on this. You have the live chat right here, because I just needed to fill the space. Hope the audio is good. Hope everything is good. So here's the video. I narrowed it down to about 10 minutes. Did some video editing. That takes me forever. Right now, we're looking at the price of Bcash in terms of Bitcoin. And it's 5% of Bitcoin. The price of Bcash is 0.05. It has been below 0.06 since last year. And everyone made fun of me when I sold all my Bcash at 0.1. And obviously, that was a smart thing to do. All right, let's go ahead and play it. I'll pause the video at certain points. I pulled up a couple of things I want to talk about, and I'll try to remember to hit all of the high points, but I'll do my best. And there's no comments on this video. I've disabled comments. I want to find a way to disable Twitter replies. I have one solution to do it, but I think it's a little extreme, so we'll see what happens. All right, let's do it. Let's go for it. Let me know if you guys can't hear it. The audio is not that great.
Bitcoin versus Bitcoin Cash. These gentlemen need no introduction, I would imagine. If you don't know who they are, then who are you, basically? This apparently is round 3 between these two heavyweights, Fraser and Ali. The first one was in Mexico, right? Second one was on a crypto cruise or something like that. And apparently the moderator last time was Tone's girlfriend. Just to let you know, me and Dr. do not have a relationship yet, but I'm always open to offers. Okay, Bitcoin. That's how rumors start.
Yes, that is how rumors start.
Hands up.
That is how rumors start. For the record, Leah was not my girlfriend.
Who's got Bitcoin Cash? Whoa, level pegging. My intro probably went up on that first one. Okay, how do we begin here? Where do we start? Blocks. What about big blocks and small blocks? Does that make any sense?
So I'd like to explain exactly why I'm such a big fan of Bitcoin Cash. So yesterday I got to give a talk here, And on every single person's table out there, we had the private key on a golden ticket where you could scan it with any wallet that can be an important private key and claim your Bitcoin Cash right from the wallet. We gave $5 to every single person that was in the room yesterday worth of Bitcoin Cash. And that was only possible because the fees were low. If we tried to do that exact same thing with the BTC version of Bitcoin today, it would be impossible, because to move the $5 from the private key on the piece of paper into your phone, it would cost $3. And then you would have $2 left on your phone. But to send the $2 from your phone to the next person, it would cost $3, which you wouldn't have. And so that's an example of how Bitcoin, the BTC version of Bitcoin's usefulness has been undermined in commerce because the.
All right, so a couple of things here. So obviously, the $3 Bitcoin fee is a lie, right? Like, I'm a very honest person, and I don't really. It's hard for me to deal with people that are lying on stage about that, right? I don't remember the last time I paid a $3 transaction fee. It was definitely not this year, barely last year. I'm gonna review fees in a minute. Now, the other thing is, while it was great to give away $5 worth of Bitcoin in 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, maybe even 2014 and 15. But in reality, now that Bitcoin is over 10 years old, people pretty much understand how it works, right? Especially, people at a Malta Bitcoin conference. At this point, the only reason to really give it away, you wouldn't give away Bitcoin at this point. Like, I don't really give Bitcoin away, definitely not in mass. Maybe I'll get a friend, like 5 Bitcoin. But I certainly don't give it to strangers anymore, right? Like, the only reason to really do that, and the only projects that really give their coins away is what Seyfuddin refers to as easy money. Like Dash is giving away Dash in Venezuela, right? Like, Bitcoiners aren't giving away Bitcoin in Venezuela. Bitcoin's too valuable, and they know the average Venezuelan is just gonna go and sell it and buy food with it, right? But Dash, they're printing their own currency left and right. I mean, it's easy money. And they're on a mission to convince people to buy into their scam. So at this point, the only reason to give away and spam the Bitcoin mempool, the real Bitcoin, not the fake version, right? The only reason to really give it away is to convince people to use a shittier currency because you're giving it away, right? Because you have a monopoly on creating the money. So it's already a bad idea from the start, right? Like the concept of doing that today is silly, especially at a Bitcoin conference. So the business model is all wrong, completely wrong. Now, the $3 Bitcoin fee is a lie, and it will be $3 very, very soon, by the way, and I'll get to that too. Let him finish his train of thought, and then I'll continue with the fee side of things.
Fees currently are about $3 per transaction on the BTC version of Bitcoin, whereas the fees are a fraction of a penny on the Bitcoin Cash version of Bitcoin. And that's why it seems so clear to me that anybody that's trying to actually use a version of Bitcoin for payments, Bitcoin Cash actually works as money. The BTC version no longer does.
So very simple rebuttal. So for at least the last 9 months or more, I use Bitcoin pretty much every day. I have not paid more than $1 fee for a Bitcoin transaction over the last 9 months. So I have no idea where the $3 average is coming from. Are you totally and I have no idea where it's coming from, but I have not had to pay over $1 for a fee in about a year.
Pull up your wallet right now and send me some.
All right, before we get to that part, right, let's talk about the fees a little bit, okay? I have not really been paying attention to Bitcoin fees because to me, they're pretty small and I use Bitcoin pretty much every day. I tweeted this out earlier. These are in exact order here. Let's talk about the fees a little bit, okay? So this is a great graphic from Willy Woo. You can find it on woobull.com. Now, the fees went incredibly high at the end of 2017. There was obvious spam attacks, and you guys remember the story. Now, in my recent memory, as you can see, the blue line is the fee. I don't know if it's the average fee, average payment fee in dollars. you can see how the average fee in dollars from July 2018 up until, pretty recently, so probably, I don't know, looks like, I don't know, April or something, it was literally nothing. Like the mempool was always clearing. The average fee was incredibly small. The average fee has gone up. Well, considering how low it was, the average fee has gone up. I can zoom in on that even, right? The average fee has gone up quite a bit. Now, this right here is 10. I believe it's the right-hand scale. Yeah, because left-hand scale makes no sense. So this is 10, also refers to $10. Okay, so if that's $10, you can kind of estimate where the fee is. Pretty small. It's pretty small. Okay, it's probably around $1 or something like that. Okay, so I actually had no idea it went up this month. Now, it makes sense that the fee went up this month because if you look at these lines, let me zoom back out. If you look at these lines, right, this is the, well, this is SegWit transactions, right? So this is the total transactions. So that's this line here is the number of transactions. So you can see how many more transactions we have today as opposed to before. The only other time in Bitcoin history where there was more transactions than right now was back during the time when fees were $20, $30. And I remember paying those fees as well. Okay, it's the only other time in history the fees were this number of transaction was that high. Now you can also look and see that before the spam attacks, there were half as many transactions, and the fee was significantly higher. You can see it right there in this chart. Okay, so clearly SegWit has done a lot to reduce fees. Now let's talk about SegWit adoption. SegWit adoption has not changed in a year. We're still stuck at the same levels of SegWit adoption, right in this zone of less than 40%. We're still stuck here, and we've been here since early 2018. Now, why is that happening? Well, because some of the biggest companies we have don't want to adopt SegWit. So here's an example. Peter Smith is the CEO of blockchain.info, the wallet that claims to be the most popular wallet in the world. And he claimed that, here it is, before the hostile core replies come, yes, I support segregated witness. Yes, we are ready for it. And yes, I've encouraged others. So the CEO of the biggest wallet in the space has said in January of 2017, this is almost 2.5 years ago now, that he's ready for SegWit, and they still have not adopted it. Okay, and if I go to my Twitter at this point, we don't need to. I think you guys get the point. I tweeted this out. That was the original message. So if I go to my Twitter, all right, come on. Probably gonna dox myself again. Everyone knows my email. I don't reply to emails, so it doesn't really matter. All right, we're gonna. I think I got my internet fixed. So in my message, where the hell is it? Oh, it's pinned. It's this one. Right, like people had very interesting replies. I really like this one. So this is what happens when, just like Bitmain decided to go with big blocks and their business basically went to shit and the CEO got fired. Here's what's been happening to the biggest wallet in the space, blockchain.info. Blockchain.info used to be over 50% of all Bitcoin transactions, and now they're down to below 20. Now, unfortunately, people have not, they still have a good PR machine because no one in their right mind should be using blockchain.info. It is one of the worst wallets. I stopped using blockchain.info in 2014 when they screwed up and pretty much cost me a full Bitcoin back then. It wasn't an expensive Bitcoin. It was like, well, it's still expensive. I think it was like a $700 Bitcoin at the time. Thank God I was able to get the money for it. But anyway, it's a long story. You don't want me to get into it. Ever since that day, I've been telling everybody to never, ever, ever use blockchain.info. Okay, they refuse to use SegWit. Now, we're just talking about regular SegWit. I'm not even talking about batch 32, which is known as native SegWit. Now, native SegWit significantly reduces the fee, okay? Significantly reduces the fee. Now, I think this website is a little bit outdated because green address certainly is now batch 32 compatible. And also at the bottom, they still have one broker, which has been taken down by like the FBI and stuff. So this website is certainly outdated, but you want to use a wallet with batch 32 if you're going to be doing lots of transactions. I have not fully converted to batch 32 myself yet. So yes, maybe a little hypocritical telling people to use it, but it's the same thing I told Roger. If the high fee of 15 cents bothers you, then you should go and use the latest technology, okay? Go and use the latest technology in order to drop that fee. And using batch 32 will do that. But of course, other people also have to do it. But it also starts with, you know, the big companies that should be lowering that fee for you. So if you look at the exchanges, no one is adopting it yet, right? And the technology is there, it works, I've used it. I just haven't converted all my Bitcoins to it yet, but I've certainly used batch 32 addresses, and that's native SegWit. Those are very, very low fee transactions. So if the industry was to use the latest technology, I mean, everyone doesn't have a problem updating to the latest iPhone or the latest, what do you call it? Samsung every year to get the latest phone, but for some reason, big companies don't want to use the latest code in order to lower transaction fee for their users. So companies that don't do that basically don't care about their users. Now, that's pretty much it. And here are your hardware wallets that are adopting it as well. Okay, so that's what you want to do, basically. Now, let's talk about something else when it comes to fees. Okay, we'll talk about all that later, right? So I don't trust them at all, right? Like if they're gonna lie about the Bitcoin fee, they're probably lying about the low Bitcoin Cash or Bcash fee. Okay. Now there's another very critical factor here, and it goes back to the fact that Bitcoin is priced. Bitcoin is 20 times more expensive than Bcash. Now, here's what that really means, right? Because remember, the Bitcoin fee and the Bcash fee is priced in the currency that you're sending it in. So that means your fee is priced in Satoshis per byte. So you have to realize that because Bcash is 20 times cheaper than Bitcoin, the fee by default is going to be 20 times cheaper because it is priced in a cheaper currency, okay? Think about it another way. If the fee to send the transaction in one place is 10 US cents, and then another place, 10 Venezuelan bolivars, which one is more expensive, right? Obviously 10 cents is worth a lot more than 10 Venezuelan bolivars, but probably not to a Venezuelan, right? Like when they're there. Okay, so, oh, maybe that was a bad analogy, but basically it goes like this. This is, where's that graphic? This is, for starters, this is bullshit, okay? To compare apples to apples, because the fee is priced in a shittier currency, this, by default, has to be multiplied by 20, okay? And that puts it at 2.4 cents to be equivalent to Bitcoin. Because the value of one Satoshi on Bitcoin is worth a lot more than one VAR. I'm not going to call it Satoshi on Bcash, right? So it's probably one VAR on Bcash. That's the equivalent of one Satoshi in as far as naming conventions go, right? So one VAR is 20 times cheaper, or 19 times cheaper technically, than one Bitcoin, okay? Than one Satoshi, sorry. So to compare apples to apples, first of all, the fees on Bcash is 2.4 cents equivalent not 1/10 of a cent, okay? Because you got to price them in the right unit. Now, as the price of Bitcoin goes up, and remember, look at the price of Bitcoin. By the way, this is also another reason why I actually just realized it. This is also another reason why the Bitcoin fees going up. See, I should have recognized that on stage, right? I should have recognized that on stage. Look, another big reason for the big price fee spike. How much has Bitcoin gone up in the last 2 months, right? And same thing here at the end of January. At the end of 2017, I mean. At the end of 2017, the price of Bitcoin skyrocketed. In the last month and a half, in the last 2 months, the price of Bitcoin skyrocketed, right? The price of Bitcoin has what? Almost tripled in the last 2 months. So that means your fee has tripled in the last 2 months. That's because one Satoshi is 3 times more expensive today than it was 2 months ago, okay? That's another reason for the big spike in Bitcoin fees, is because the price of Bitcoin has tripled. So what used to cost me like, 2 or 3 cents easy, all of a sudden became a little bit more. So you gotta keep these things in mind. And like I said, I did a terrible job explaining all of this on stage because all we had was 15 minutes. And I didn't think of it in time. And you guys know that it's kind of difficult debating there. But you have to keep in mind that your fee is priced in Bitcoin. And then you convert it to dollars or cents, whatever it is. All right, let's move on. Let's see what else we have here.
BTC, and let's see what the fee calculation is, and we'll find out right now.
My wallets allow me to set any fee I like. I can send Roger right now $5 with a 5-cent fee, and it will go through.
With a 5-cent fee?
Sure.
Please do, and I'll post it all online later, and we can see that it gets stuck in the mempool for days or potentially weeks. It's not.
Okay, so right there, this is actually where I failed. I offered to send Roger a 5-cent fee, and he laughed and said it was going to get stuck in the mempool for days. Now remember that part. Please keep that in mind.
Through with a 5-cent fee.
Why is there such a difference in opinion here? Isn't it obvious which one's going to win out of you two?
I think the difference.
Well, we already know which one won.
Yeah, we do know which one won. It's Bitcoin.
Roger hasn't.
So can I watch and see the fee? Can I look over your shoulder? Is that okay?
Sure. I will send you 5.
So send me $5.
So all right, I'll say it. On this particular wallet, the default fee is $1.33.
Okay, so like I said, the default fee is $1.33. We all know that Bitcoin has doubled in price in the last month. So in the last month, that fee has doubled by default because one Satoshi is now double the price. So that same default standard fee would have been half whatever I said, 120, 130. It would have been under $1.
The default fee, I go click a button that says change fee. It's set to standard. I can just click a button and set it to low. That drops my fee to 27 cents. That's the low version.
Still too high.
I can make it lower than that because I can choose my own fee. Depends how much time you want to spend since we're limited on time. But right now I'm sending you, I'll just use the 27. I can lower it to 5 cents if you like.
Lower it to 5 cents and we'll see how many days it's stuck in the mempool.
Set custom fee, Satoshis per byte, 5 Satoshis per byte. I'm not sure how many cents that will be. 7 cents.
Right, so this is where it kind of goes wrong, right? I set it to 5 Satoshis per byte and it made my fee 7 cents. If I would have set it to 4 or 3 Satoshis per byte, it would have set my fee to about 5 cents. And if I would have sent Roger a 5-cent fee transaction that evening, it probably would have cleared in the next, if not in the next block, in the block after that. So that was probably the biggest mistake for me to destroy the argument that Bitcoin fees are high.
What do we
7
think?
cents. You okay with
7
7
to 1 cents? Satoshi per byte, like all Bitcoin Cash transactions are.
No one uses Bitcoin Cash. That's why it's so cheap to send it.
That is true.
So that's an absolute lie, and anyone can go and see the number of transactions happening on the network.
Let's go ahead and lower it.
Let's talk about the number of transactions happening on the network, because there was a great article recently about that. And there it is. A single Bitcoin, this is from May 6th. This is not, ages ago. This is a few weeks ago. A single Bitcoin Cash address is responsible for nearly 50% of all the network transactions in the past month. One single address on Bitcoin Cash network has accounted for nearly half of transactions in the past month. The movement, which was first brought to the block's attention in a tweet post by I Am Nomad, could be an indication that there is a single entity acting to prop up the number of transactions to make the network look more active. The address first started to make transactions on April 8th, and at the time of this writing has made over 575,000 transactions in the same period. The entire Bitcoin Cash blockchain has processed 1.17 million transactions, meaning that this one address has accounted for 49% of BCH total transactions. The address has been continuously making consecutive transactions, often for the same amount of a very tiny amount of BCH. The address currently has a balance of only $1,200 since it began sending transactions. It has sent a total of $19,000 and received a total of $20,000. Okay, so this wallet just keeps sending sub-penny transactions back and forth to make the Bcash look active. I mean, this is totally ridiculous, and this is the sock puppetry at its finest. Okay, so let's move on.
It's a 1 Satoshi per byte. Right, get on. We've only got.
So like I said, this was the mistake, right? I set it to 1 Satoshi per byte, and the fee was 1 cent. Initially, Roger laughed that a 5-cent fee would get stuck in the mempool for days. Basically, ever since this incident, every Bitcoin transaction I have sent has been between 1 and 3 Satoshis per byte. It depended on how quickly I wanted that transaction to go through. If I needed a transaction to go through within a half an hour, since this debate in the last 3 to 4 days, I've used 3 Satoshis per byte, which was less than 5 cents, and they've all gone through in about a half an hour. If I was okay waiting an hour or two, I did it with 2 Satoshis per byte, and even many of those got in under a half an hour. And if I didn't care, I sent them with 1 Satoshi per byte, and those transactions still gone through, some as long as a day, one a little bit more than a day, and some as low as 6 hours. And that's what I've been doing since this debate. So once again, the fact that you have to have a high fee on Bitcoin on chain is bullshit by Roger.
Lower it to 1 Satoshi per byte, and I'll bet
1 cent fee. There it goes.
What does it say? It says transaction success?
Well, it's sent, but
Okay.
it needs to get confirmed.
So here you go, Tone. If that gets included in a block today, I'll donate $10,000 to the charity of your choice.
All right, Roger did say today, this took place in Malta at about 4 or 5 o'clock Malta time. We'll get back to that in a minute.
That's how confident I am that a 1 Satoshi per byte fee on the Bitcoin network, they no longer go through. And that's why I switched all of my time and effort and resources to promoting Bitcoin Cash, because it still works as peer-to-peer cash for the world, as described in the very title of the white paper.
Now, Roger says that they don't go through, meaning that they will never go through, which again is a lie.
I have news about that. I was checking my wallet here, and it looks like because the fee was so low, it looks like the network didn't even detect the transaction. And it's
all right, so the network immediately detected the transaction, So clearly, Roger is using one of two wallets, either the Bitcoin.com, his own wallet, or blockchain.info wallet, which is a company that he funded. And both of those wallets probably, A, do the worst fee estimation for Bitcoin possible to make Bitcoin look bad and their fake Bitcoin look good. And two, doesn't know how to detect transactions in the mempool.
It's not, it looks like it didn't even get relayed by the node, so it hasn't even arrived in my wallet yet. So
I've just got a message here. It says,
Whoa. I see the transaction. I see the transaction.
I don't have the transaction ID, so.
Yep.
What does it say?
It says I confirm that that is your transaction.
And so it says priority 23,836 out of 24,355 transactions. So that means that if every single transaction on the Bitcoin network were to completely stop right now, and every single block is only clearing the backlog of transactions on the Bitcoin network right now, it's going to take about 10 blocks, so about an hour and a half before his transaction gets included in a block. If every single
Don't I have a day to make 10,000?
stops.
Don't I have a day to get the 10,000?
Right. So this is where I say, don't I have a day? Because I interpreted Roger's prior statement of today as a day. I am in a different country, in a different time zone every 3 to 4 days. And I don't know what's a day. To me, a day is 24. To me, a day is always 24 hours. I work in a 24-hour day. So this is where I say, don't I have a day? And the definition of a day is 24 hours, and Roger agrees.
You do, and it's not going to make it because the network, people are making transactions every single time. So if the entire
Right, people are using the network. You should not be paying 1 cent fee when so many people are using the network.
And I really should not have used a 1 cent fee. That was my bad. My bad on that. I should have held Roger to his word of 5 cents, and that transactions would have cleared in 2 blocks.
Or you could just switch to Bitcoin Cash and pay a tenth of a penny per
But
transaction.
no one uses it. Who am I going to send it to?
Pull out your wallet right now.
I don't have a Bitcoin Cash wallet. I'm a Bitcoin.
I guess he likes.
Right. So I don't have a Bitcoin Cash wallet. I had Bitcoin Cash when I split my coins, and I sold them all immediately. And the thing is, in order to use Bcash, you have to hold Bcash. And holding Bcash, here's what it's done. Since Bcash's all-time high, it is down still today 88%. Today, Bitcoin is only down 55%. I mean, better than Zcash, down 97. But that's a little. Even I'm gonna say this is a little bit extreme because of the way it was priced in the early days. But something like Dash is down 88%. That's a legitimate down. Well, I guess Bcash is not as bad as Bitcoin Gold or Litecoin or Augur. Look at that, 94%. So the thing is, it doesn't matter how low your transactions are if your underlying asset depreciates in value unreasonably quick, and this depreciation will take it to zero. So the store of value property is way more important, way more important. And look, they hit their all-time highs around the same time, right? They hit their all-time highs within 4 days of each other. So you can't say that it happened in different times of the market, okay? Happened at the same time. So, I mean, the chart has been slightly appreciating against Bitcoin. It's not as low as less than 3% of the value of a Bitcoin. At least you're back to 5% of the value of the Bitcoin. But this will probably go sub 3% sooner or later, probably sooner than later. Let's go back.
When was the last time you made a purchase with your Lightning Network wallet?
I use on-chain. I don't have a problem paying 20 cent fees, and they're all going through. I'm one of the bad guys right now on Bitcoin, spamming the Bitcoin blockchain because I barely use Lightning.
That is true.
Do you use Lightning wallets to pay for things or not?
No, I still use on-chain. I pay a 20 cent fee. I don't have a problem with it because I don't buy things that are that cheap.
So just to
my Bitcoin transactions are usually $20 and up, but I don't have a problem paying a 20-cent fee.
So to clarify, so you're busy advocating all day, every day that everybody use something that you don't even use yourself?
I don't need to. I'm happy paying a 20-cent fee. If I wasn't, if I really need to start sending $1 transactions and I'm too cheap and I want to pay a 1-cent fee, I will absolutely use my Lightning wallet. I'm okay using the on-chain right now. It's not that cluttered for me, and I don't buy little things. The fact that I don't even use the Lightning Network yet tells you that it's not absolutely necessary. On-chain Bitcoin still works just fine. But when it gets really congested and I really want to pay cheap fees, of course I'll switch to Lightning.
Now, I don't really make tiny, I mean, everything I said there is correct. I also cut a little part out because it wasn't really necessary, but I said, I don't mind supporting the miners. I actually don't. Eventually, the miners will have to be supported by fees. So I don't mind paying the fee to support the miners. I don't mind paying a 5-10 cent fee to support the miners. Clearly, I've been overpaying for all of my transactions because, like I showed you with this chart, only in the last month was 2-cent fee a problem or 1-cent fee a problem, and you really needed to use maybe as much as 5 cents at most. Prior to that, from July 2018 up until whatever this is, like February or something of this year, you could have been using 1-cent fees without a problem. Probably would have gotten in within a block or two, okay? And we're also talking about finality and final settlement. We're not talking about when you can walk away with the transactions. No one is gonna double spend at $3 transactions. That's just insane, okay, to think that someone's gonna double spend that. So once it hits the network, it's gonna go through. Maybe not at 1 cent today. Today you might have to use 2 or 3 cents. And if the price of Bitcoin goes up, that's gonna be higher. And if more people use Bitcoin, then that's gonna be higher.
So I have, I guess, one final question maybe. So in our first debate 3 years ago, and I quote, Tone Vays said, SegWit solves all
I kind of talked about that already.
Problems immediately. Do you still agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, the transactions became pretty cheap within a few months.
You can see it right here, right? So when we debated in early 2017, SegWit got in. Look at the SegWit adoption curve. It took a little while. And the price of Bitcoin went up. Bitcoin transaction fee went up like crazy because the price of Bitcoin went up. And the giant spam attacks made it bad. But once SegWit got going, and remember, SegWit is still only at 40% adoption. We're not even anywhere near 100% adoption yet. If people adopt the latest technology and just start using SegWit, especially batch 32 SegWit, Bitcoin will have low on-chain fees for at least another year. Plenty of time for Lightning to work out all of its kinks and be stable. And Lightning could be used for large transactions in the future. It's just that right now, I would never use it for large transactions. I'd only use it for tiny, tiny, tiny transactions.
Per transaction at the moment, and it was
absolutely not.
The average transaction was $50 at the end of 2017, and I myself personally was paying thousands of dollars in fees for single Bitcoin transactions.
Well, that's because your business revolved around micropayments.
No, I was moving tens of thousands of dollars around at a time, and I was paying around $1,000 to $1,500 in fees per transaction to move those BTC around.
Fees have been under one. Every transaction I've sent has been pretty much under $1.50 for the last 9 months. They all went through fairly quickly, and I could have done it lower.
There's no money in my wallet. It doesn't look like it even got broadcasted to the network.
Oh, come on. Yes, it did.
So clearly, if his wallet isn't notifying him 5 minutes later, this was about 5 minutes after I sent the transaction, or more than 5 minutes. If his wallet isn't notifying him that the transaction went through, that's the problem with his wallet. Because when I use my wallets with my friends, you're notified within seconds that the transaction is in the mempool, and his wallet still hasn't. So whichever wallet Roger is using, and I don't know what wallet he's using, he better talk to his developers of that wallet, because if they can't even identify a transaction in the mempool, what the hell are they doing with the fee estimations? So it's probably the wallet that's ripping off people that are using Bitcoin inside whatever wallet he's using.
Are you sure you didn't give me a Bitcoin Cash wallet?
I'm sure I used a BTC address. Please text me the address. We'll keep an eye on it. Who likes fast, cheap, reliable transactions? Whatever the coin is, anything that works is what I advocate.
Let's talk about reliable transactions, okay? Let's talk about that. So I'm gonna go back to this graphic, and I'm just gonna slide this over. Reliable transactions. The May 15 BCH hard fork made unspendable coins spendable again, allowing miners to claim them. When an unknown miner claimed these coins, the BTC.com and BTC.top pools coordinated a 51% attack to return coins to the original owner. Please check out this thread, and it will talk about how two miners that can just get on a phone call with each other and 51% attack and reverse the history of the Bcash blockchain, okay? That is how reliable your transactions are on Bcash. Now, let's talk about on-chain reliability in general. Here's a great website. Thank you for whoever sent it to me. How many confirmations? How many confirmations are equivalent to Bitcoin's 6 confirmations? Once your confirmation is confirmed, and then it's been confirmed for 6 more blocks, which is an average of 49 minutes. The security of that transaction is equivalent to 4.5 hours on Ethereum, 6 times slower, 21 hours, let's round this properly, 21 hours on Bcash. So the Bcash blockchain is 25 times slower than Bitcoin if you actually talk about finality of that payment, like the inability to reverse that payment. So because no one mines Bcash, it takes 127 confirmations to match the security of 6 confirmations on Bitcoin, okay? And they're still mining once every 10 minutes as well, okay? So that means that as long as the Bitcoin transaction that I sent Roger got in to the mempool within 20 hours, oh, sorry, not into mempool, the 1 Satoshi fee confirmation got its first confirmation within 20 hours. That was a more secure payment than his next block confirmation coin. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. Now, right, Bitcoin SV, because it has a lot less hash power than even Bcash, that one takes 3 days, and it needs 480 confirmations before a single miner can just reverse it. And to be honest, I think they only have 1 miner, so I think this is grossly incorrect. I don't think that transaction is ever safe, okay? Dash is even worse than that. Takes 2,600 confirmations, and that's 140. Well, Bitcoin Gold doesn't really count. Bytecoin doesn't really count. And I don't know what any of this other nonsense is. Take a look at the website. I don't have all these websites in the video description, but I'll put them in right after I'm done with the video. All right, we got like 2 more minutes left here, so let's just finish it up.
If Bitcoin Cash had as many transactions as Bitcoin does right now, their fees would actually be bigger. There was a report about 9 months ago where someone went and took a look at the Bitcoin Cash current fee and compared it to when Bitcoin had that kind of action, which was like back in 2011. This is the equivalent. The amount of fees going on Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin had that kind of action back in 2011, and those fees were lower than Bitcoin Cash fees are.
Okay, awesome,
And,
awesome.
And also, there was like one wallet that was sending like 80% or 60% of all of Bitcoin Cash.
All right, that was a mistake. It was only 49% on one wallet, but who knows how many other wallets are also just doing it for show.
Transactions. Whose wallet was that, Roger?
Okay, stop it now.
Okay, so that's it for the video. I got a couple of more links here. I want to talk about actual decentralization. You know, people are really mad at me that I let Roger dictate this debate and focus on transaction fees, because in reality, that's, who cares? And you people are right. You guys are right. Who cares? The important thing is that Bitcoin allows you to send a transaction. The government says you can't send. That's not my statement. That was the famous coffee tweet by Kinning. I don't remember. I have to find his Twitter handle, but not my statement, right? The most important part of Bitcoin is the fact that it's censorship resistant. I'm sorry, to me, that's the second most important part of Bitcoin. The second most important part of Bitcoin to me is that I'm sending censorship resistant payments. The most important part of Bitcoin to me is the fact that it's unconfiscatable. That's why I own the domain and the conference called Unconfiscatable. This is showing you that Bcash is confiscatable. That is the #1 property of Bitcoin. If your blockchain can be 51% attacked and your people don't even mind, that is a problem. In fact, the people signed off on this, right? Because there's like 2 people that rule Bcash now, and I'm not sure about Jihan, who was the other one. Anyway, it doesn't hold the properties of a secure. If this happened in Bitcoin, I'm out. If a 51% attack like this happened in Bitcoin, I am out. This will be either a cooking channel or a traditional stock market channel. I'm out. There's no way I'm gonna hold and I'm gonna pray I can get out of Bitcoin in time to still buy a cup of coffee, because the value of Bitcoin might actually go below $10 if this occurred on Bitcoin. If this occurred on Bitcoin, it's done. It's done. I'm out. Like, I'm selling everything, like fire sale. Come to my house, I'll sell you all my Bitcoin. I'll immediately, that second, will give you a 20% discount on all my Bitcoin. That day, you can buy all my Bitcoin at a 20% discount that day if this happens. Okay, let's talk about centralization. So I think I've gone through all of these links. Big blocks. Let's start with the big blocks. I'm gonna go way back in the time machine. Most of the people watching probably weren't really around in 2015. In the old days of 2015, Bitfury wrote a paper researching the block size. And in it, they had this graphic. Block verification in seconds. With a block size of 1 megabyte, it takes 0.15 seconds to verify that block by other miners. So this is probably the biggest problem with big blocks. Well, actually, the biggest problem with big blocks is that you can't actually force everyone to update your nodes. So an attempt to do big blocks is a default controversial hard fork, which splits your currency in 2. It's by default, right? Unless you're Vitalik Buterin, or even on Bcash, they couldn't do it, right? Because the leaders split. Unless you have a leader that can force his way, you're not gonna have a hard fork. Like in Ethereum, they had a leader, but even they split. In Bcash, they had 4 leaders, and they went, well, 3 leaders technically. Jihan, Fake Satoshi, and Roger Ver, and Fake Satoshi's backing is Calvin Ayre. So Calvin Ayre and Craig Wright went one way, and Jihan and Raja went another. Jihan's been fired, so I don't know what the hell he's up to these days. Anyway, it takes 0.15 seconds for a miner to validate a 1 megabyte block mined by another miner. And I wouldn't say most, but many miners really don't mind wasting 0.15 seconds. They don't. That's why a lot of other miners voluntarily validate other blocks. One way you know that a miner doesn't want to validate other blocks is they're mining empty blocks. Another way, another reason to mine empty blocks was, of course, ASIC boost, which Antmain was clearly doing. Bitmain, sorry, not Antmain. Bitmain was clearly doing, which is why they didn't want SegWit, because SegWit eliminated their stupid advantage. But many miners still refuse to waste 0.15 seconds. They refuse to validate other miners' blocks because in 0.15 seconds, that is probably about, I don't know, several billion, if not a trillion guesses to find the next block. And finding the next block is worth a lot of money, right? 12.5 Bitcoin right now times 12.5 Bitcoin times $9,000. That's a lot of money. That's almost 100 grand, right? So 0.15 seconds could cost you 100 grand. So many miners are not validating blocks right now on a 1 megabyte block. Now, if you increase that to 2 megabytes, this more than doubles. Now it's half a second. You know, maybe it's not a big deal. I mean, Slushpool always validates other blocks. Bitfury always validates other blocks. Now, what happens when you go up to 32 megabytes? Now it's almost 7 seconds. 7 seconds. You guys have any idea how much money a giant mining pool can lose by being 7 seconds late to mining the next block? No one is going to want to validate that block at that rate, okay? Like whichever miner is validating that block besides the miner that actually found it, that's the stupid miner, okay? I wouldn't want to mine with that miner. It's costing me money, right? I wouldn't want to mine with that pool. I would, because I'm mined to support the network. I don't mine for the money. I'm mined to support the network. But how many people mine to support the network and how many mine for the money? So this is a serious problem. This means that everyone is going to want to mine with a pool that found the previous block. Because if you found the previous block, you don't have to validate your own block. You immediately start mining the next block. This leads to enormous mining centralization. Now, if we go and look at the miners, I'm looking at nodes. Okay, let's switch to miners. We'll go back to nodes. So let's look at the miners on Bcash and let's look at the miners on Bitcoin. You see, on Bcash, they probably don't need to validate each other's blocks because BTC.com and BTC.top and via BTC and Antpool and Bitcoin.com, they're all pretty much the same thing. They are all Bitmain and Raja Veer, which can just, I don't know, probably have daily meetings with each other. I don't know about OKEX. I just don't know. They may be part of the same, subsidiary, right? It could be all the same company. They just look different for appearance sake because these guys got together with these guys and they were able to reverse the blockchain. And if you add them right now, they are nowhere near 50%, right? They're only at 35%. So that means their friends from here and here and here joined them and then went back to create an illusion of mining decentralization, okay? I don't know about OKEX. They could be part of the same, CEO that's running all of this stuff. I've never heard of Poolin, so I can't comment. Hobie is an exchange, so they're probably, probably independent. P2P pool, I believe they're independent, and I don't know about the rest. BTC China, they're probably, you know, independent. They're probably not cooperating with them. You don't want your miners to cooperate. You want your miners to be adversarial. That's what keeps the network decentralized. Now we're going to go over to Bitcoin. Where am I here? Thought I clicked on blocks. What happened? Did I not click on blocks? Okay, I probably didn't scroll down enough. I didn't scroll down enough. Okay, here we go. So BTC.com is there as well, but F2 pool is number 2. And pool is number 3. Slush, who hates all these people. Hey, Slush, shout out for processing my transaction. Though I do need to get back to that. Shit, I forgot to talk about something. So Slush certainly isn't cooperating with them. I'm pretty sure F2 pool isn't cooperating with them. I know Bitfury isn't cooperating with them. Okay, so Bitcoin mining is actually somewhat decentralized, way more than Bcash mining is. Okay, here's what I forgot to talk about: the transaction, my transaction. We'll get back to that after. So my transaction to Roger went through after about 10 hours. And yes, it looks like Slush Pool prioritized it, probably because they found it and they thought it would be fun. And I hope they got really good publicity out of it. I found it really, really funny. They processed my transaction around here or here. About an hour or two later, the mempool literally got cleaned out. Numerous people sent 1 Satoshi per byte transactions immediately following the live stream of my debate with Roger. And all of those transactions confirmed within 2 hours after Slush processed my transaction. So my transaction would have absolutely gone through within a 24-hour day. And that was what Roger offered to pay the $10,000 for. Now, this is the confirmation of the transaction. The transaction hit the mempool immediately. And if I would have only used Roger's original request of 5 cents instead of 1 cent, that thing would have potentially confirmed before we left the stage together. And then he would have looked like a total dope. And instead of, you know, me looking like a dope. All right, that's what I forgot to say. It really should have belonged earlier in the video. Okay, so that's my point on mining. And finally, let's talk about nodes, and then I'll end it here. So here is Btrash nodes, and here is Bitcoin nodes, which is the most important part of a blockchain. It's nodes. It's proof of work, and it's nodes, because your miners can want one thing, but the users will tell them to go F themselves. And it's the nodes. It's all about the nodes, guys. Let's look at Bcash. So here are the Bcash nodes. You have approximately, so you have 2 types of nodes on Bcash because Bitcoin SV went and formed their own blockchain. You have Bitcoin ABC, which I believe is Jihan's side. And you have Bitcoin Unlimited, which I believe is Roger's side. Eventually, they'll probably split again. So Bcash will probably hard fork. I think sooner or later, Bitcoin ABC is going to want to go their own way from Bitcoin Unlimited, and then it will split. But right now, looks like they have a total of 1,500 nodes on their entire network. And it's very debatable how many of those nodes are owned by the same person to make it look more decentralized than it actually is in order to sucker in people into their fake Bitcoin. Now let's look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is completely dominated by Bitcoin core nodes. So that means the chances of a split. So look at this. These are different implementations that are currently compatible. There used to be more. There used to be 3 big ones. And the other big one was Bitcoin SV. And then Bitcoin SV wanted to have bigger blocks. And these 2 guys wanted to do some off-chain scaling. And so basically, the reason for the Bitcoin SV to leave Bcash is the same reason all of the big blockers left Bitcoin, because they wanted bigger blocks and they didn't want second layer scaling. And it looks like that's the same reason why Bitcoin SV left. And even though as much as Roger demonizes second layer scaling, they're going in that direction too, because behind closed doors, they know that on-chain is not sustainable and is not scalable. So these 2 are going to split. Sooner or later, they will, because you have 2 completely different implementations. So as long as the politics align, they will both work. The moment one guy gets mad at another guy, these 2 are going to hard fork and go their separate ways. We already saw it with the Bitcoin SV versus Bcash hard fork. This will happen again. Now let's go over to Bitcoin. 97% dominated by a single implementation, Bitcoin Core. How many of those nodes we have around the world? Well, approximately 9.6 thousand nodes. Here are all the attempts to turn Bitcoin into shit. This was the first attempt, Bitcoin XT. You can watch my videos on that as well. This was Bitcoin Classic. Oh, sorry. Yeah, this was Bitcoin Classic. The green was Bitcoin Unlimited. What the hell is the orange? Oh, that's the user-activated soft fork movement, which actually got the job done. And what the hell is this red thing? BTC1 nodes. I'm not familiar with those. Okay. Yeah, the green is the Bitcoin Unlimited. And then they finally forked off with Bcash. Okay. Now we can confirm the number of nodes with other sources. Here is bitnodes.earn. This is actually a good one. You could go ahead and check your nodes on here as well. Okay, so there they are. You can see that the US is leading with over 2,000 nodes right there. Okay, US. Let me zoom in on this a little bit. US is leading with 2,000 nodes. You can look at other countries. There is the full list of countries. A lot of NAs, so that's actually a good thing, you know. But there it is. You can see the node distribution as it goes around the world. Okay. I think that's it. And this is what keeps your network decentralized. Let me glance at my notes. Let me see if I missed anything. Nope. I think I pretty much covered it. I got a few questions. What's my opinion on Wasabi Wallet? It's great. Use it. Give it a try. Mix your coins. Someone was asking, what are the differences between these 2 implementations? I don't know. I don't know and I don't care. It's just 2 different teams that I really don't know, and I really don't care. I just know that they're going to split because they used to have 3 implementations. They claimed they had like 4, but I think 2 of them went together, right? I think it was Bitcoin NT, and Bitcoin NT was another implementation. So Bitcoin NT went with Bitcoin SV, and they went one way, and Bitcoin ABC and Bitcoin Unlimited went another way, and probably both of them are going to hard fork within themselves. Because they have leaders. They have charismatic leaders that eventually will not get along and they'll split. All right, any other comments, guys? What did I miss? Tell me what I missed. I mean, I'm sure Bcash is terrible in many other ways. So what did I miss? Tone, what's the general tone at these conferences regarding Roger and his self-serving attacks on Bitcoin? Does he have any credibility left? That he pays and bribes. I believe that's the only credibility that is left. And those that don't know better, they get suckered into a fake Bitcoin. Any income from node users? Well, there could be income from Lightning nodes, right? So if you are a popular Lightning node rerouting transactions, I believe you could earn money from that, right? I'm sure there'll be a future where you can cryptographically help anonymize other transactions through the Lightning network, and other people will be willing to pay for that service. So there's potential money to be made to be a popular Lightning hub early, and then people can pay you for that. You can also pay people to use your Lightning node. Usually that will probably be done by banks if they implement Lightning and nodes. They'll probably pay you to reroute through their node so they can get statistics on you. So hopefully you don't get suckered in to getting paid to use Lightning. But hey, to each their own. What do you think about Bcash also hijacking the BTC subreddit? I don't care. They're going to hijack something, right? Yeah, see that 51% attack, I didn't know about it during going into the debate. It just happened like the day before. Like I said, I didn't actually prepare. I have better things to do with my time than prepare for a debate with shitcoins. I had a much easier time on the cruise because I watched what happened to Jimmy. So I was prepared during that hour watching what happened to Jimmy, and that's why I was able to do a much better job. All right, guys, if there's no other help for me to get this one video out, it's kind of a crypto scam-ish video on Bcash. I think I went through all of my links that I had. Yeah, that's about it. I'm off to Bulgaria tomorrow, and I'm speaking at DigiTalk. And from there, I will be in Amsterdam. Check me out. There'll be a carnivory dinner on the 8th. I haven't had time to find the restaurant and get the, get the payment link up. Hey, thank you for your tip, Hawk. Do you think about Craig Wright's threat of dumping to? I don't think about Craig Wright, guys. I don't think about Craig Wright. Sorry. Hey, Tone, what are the differences between two competing implementations on Bcash? Yeah, I just told you guys, like, probably nothing, not much at the moment. Probably, who you downloaded from, but they're completely different teams that are led by different people, and they're not going to agree. Sooner or later, they're going to want to split their own way. They work with the same rules of consensus. Yes, for now. They can't change that. So what's the difference then? The difference is they see themselves as different authorities, right? That's the big difference. The difference is they see themselves as different authorities. And that's the first sign, is that because they see themselves as different authorities. And Bitcoin Unlimited has one leader, and Bitcoin ABC has another leader. It's basically two presidents that are right now having their programmers that get paid by them programming and cooperating. But they're already have two different sides. And eventually, the two leaders are going to disagree. And then they're going to split two different ways. They're not decentralized. It's not one giant decentralized programming effort. It's literally two companies who for the moment agree. Used to be 4 companies, and then they split in 2. That's why we have Bitcoin SV. Am I running a Casa node? No, I'm not. I don't have one yet. Haven't been in one place for more than a few weeks. How am I going to order one? Where is it going to arrive? What am I going to do with it? Travel around the world with it? Big blocks propagation is absolutely no problem for 1,000 plus data centers. Right, data centers. I want to validate my transaction. When's the next Unconfiscatable? Probably February. We're going to move it by a month. Block propagation time is still going to be a problem. Bandwidth, guys, I couldn't even run this stream earlier today. Bandwidth is a problem. Blocks need to be tiny as possible. If you can name a leader of your cryptocurrency, it's not decentralized. All right, video's gone long enough. I'm gonna cut the screen share. I am still in Istanbul. It's already late. I think it's like past 1 a.m. here. It is. It's 1:30 in the morning. So I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night. And I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for watching. I hopefully we put this issue to bed. I will do my best not to debate Roger Ver again. And you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I think. If I stood on stage and I agree with Roger, it wouldn't matter. Bcash is going to die. It's going to die. It's a centralized shitcoin. It's going to die. Anyway, I will leave it here. Talk to you all on the next one. I'll try and do another price analysis from the airport, guys. Talk to you all later.